In this training video, we're going to look at some hints and tips for Excel. I'm using again, just as an example, my sales data spreadsheet, simply because this is very user-friendly for my purposes of explanation. First thing we're going to look at is a thing called named ranges. Where we've used these functions before, sum if, count if, etc., I've said count if A2 to A43, A4 doesn't tell me very much. So if instead of A2 to A43, I was to select that range of data, and there are various ways of doing this, but I'm going to click just here, and I'm going to type the word region, hit enter. I now have a named range called region. So instead of A2 to A43, I can use the word region just there. So now that says count if the region is equal to H4. Slightly easier to read. I could put a name on that cell, but there doesn't seem an awful lot of point. The use of names can make formulas a lot smaller and a lot easier to understand. There are lots of shortcut keys that you can use in Excel. With the PowerPoint presentation that you'll find in the same directory as these videos, there is an Adobe document containing a large number of these shortcut keys. Shortcut keys can be very useful. I suspect you may know some of them already, not necessarily Excel specific. Control X being cut, Control V being paste, for example. In Excel, Control and End will take you to the physical end of the spreadsheet, and Control and Home will take you to the top of the spreadsheet. When pressing pause at the moment, we'll just stay down here. A shortcut key can save time. I know lots of them and find them very useful, but I don't know all of them. And if you find that using a shortcut key is actually taking longer than another method you like, stick with the other method. There's never a right way and a wrong way of doing anything, certainly not in Excel. In a previous video, the one to do with errors, I talked about using paste special values. If you have some formulas, such as these ones here, which serve their purpose and you actually want to turn those into physical values, then you could copy them. I'm doing right click to do paste special values. What I've now done is destroyed the formula, so these values will never update again, which will save calculation time. It also shows the error that I talked about in the when things go wrong video. That was paste special values. If you have a worksheet that takes data from another worksheet, and you want to lock those values in place, then you may need to use the data and then edit links option to break the links. This data doesn't rely on an external workbook, so I don't have to do that, but that's an example for you, something you could do. Something to be aware of when saving your files, and by the way, I recommend saving your file regularly. Excel can crash. It's very annoying when you haven't saved the workbook. You've been using it for a couple of hours and Excel crashes, all your 2 hours work is gone. So do save regularly, but make sure that you keep the file name relatively short. It's not an Excel fault as such, but there is actually a 256 character limit. 256 characters sounds a lot, but that includes the full path of the directory you're saving it to. That's the P drive or the J drive, for example, or that's J:/. So that's 3 of the characters. That's not too bad. But if you're doing that as a network path with the actual network name //WLFP02/ etc., that's a lot more characters. And every time you put it in a subdirectory, of a subdirectory, of a subdirectory, and so on, those subdirectory names form part of that 256 characters. And it becomes quite easy to actually use that amount of space up. This is particularly a problem where you're saving it to the P drive, but somebody else is opening it using the UNC path, the Wilkie02 type path. They're going to use more characters than you did, so although you may be able to save and open the file, they're not going to be able to because of that file limit. So try to keep the names as short as you can and not too deep down the tree. As always, there are any number of hints and tips that I could give. This is only a short overview of some of the ones that have been asked for in previous courses. If you have any questions, just contact me by whatever method suits, and I'll do my best to help. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video.